What's happening, guys? I hope everybody had a fantastic weekend as usual. We've got the Sunday night free scan tonight, and we'll get right into it. So, first and foremost, the market is completely different than it has in prior videos, right? The last couple, maybe the last one or two, it's been kind of slowly shifting. We're into earnings report season. There's a lot of action happening left and right, but the difference this time, at least this quarter, is the amount of like 30 and 40% drops has been incredible. There's almost as many 30-40% drops on these big names as there had been when we had, a daily 100-200% type momentum runner on 20, 30, 50 million shares of volume. So there's been quite a lot, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's easy, because it brings in a whole new element of different type of trading. It's you could be super prepared for something and everything's unwinding, it's coming apart, and then this past week everything that unwound actually rebounded and it went straight up for 1, 2, 3, 4 days. An example of that is like AMAG, where we've been used to getting these huge unwinders like TWOU, huge unwind and then kind of bases, or CLVS kind of unwinds and then sort of just bases. And then again, AMAG, you've got a huge gap down and total unwind. I mean, it looked bad. All of a sudden, it just rallies back. Continues to rally, and if you look at the 3-day chart here, you can see, I mean, it's just been a steady squeeze. So literally couldn't find a bid, finds a bid, and what I've noticed is this type of setup right here, where you can look at this, sure, ABCD type pattern, but more importantly, what I think has been a fantastic kind of indicator of continuation is this flush out, this rip through of VWAP, and then consolidation and a move from it. And no matter what stock you look at lately that's been a really big runner, you'll see this same action. And same thing over here, kind of starts the base. Not as clean as the first day, but even if you go back and look at CVNA, where they pretty much rip through, come back, consolidate, go back over VWAP, and at that point you can risk based off of the VWAP level. And it's happening countless times, day in and day out. And fire off a few more. You've got LK. Let's see what else ran last week. Drawing a blank. AMD obviously comes back, flushes out, consolidates over VWAP, and then that's it. Continues on. CLVS flushes out. You don't need to find the bottom. Consolidates, comes back. Some are clean, some are not as clean. But the key is really just to kind of identify this washout, rip back through, consolidate, and at least understand or acknowledge the fact that it's going higher. STMP, that happened the first day, where we had a fantastic flush off the gap. Gapped up, ripped, came all the way back in, but started to set up, and it crossed over VWAP, and then that was it. And it went literally, another $5 per share, almost $6. So understanding when you're on the front side or the back side of the move is crucial, especially in this market, especially with 30-40% type gap downs, because it's not something where you want to be trying to find the bottom. You try to find the bottom, might end up in a situation like FTCH, and then GDOT was another one of those examples where it ripped through over VWAP, comes back, consolidates, and then continues on. So again, just waiting for that to consolidate and happen will keep you out of a lot of trouble, in my opinion. So that's the thoughts for this week as far as kind of what to look out for. we finally had the first big momentum trade that we haven't seen in weeks since earnings reports have pretty much started. And it definitely came by surprise, and it was really about having a good average and letting it work for you. So, this was good and bad. Good, bad, good for me. As some of you guys might have seen, I had posted it, but I saw the action. I saw basically the reason why I bought this pre-market was it did the ramp, consolidate, pull back a little bit, swipe back up, consolidate, swipe back up, consolidate. And when that happens, it starts to really trap, shorts into the mix. And they think that it can't go too much higher. And then it swipes higher. Then they start to kind of add. And you kind of let them win. You let them win into the morning, kind of 8:30 a.m. or sometimes into 9 like this. And there's absolutely no reason to not be short. There's no reason to be long, right? And so what they do is they start to train everybody, and everybody gets super comfortable. It's been the first one in a while, so it catches everybody off guard. And then all of a sudden, they swipe. They swipe it straight into a circuit halt. And, that's it. The next candle is almost, I think it's 1.7 million volume. That is massive. That means that, pretty much there's probably 1 million plus of shorts right away, coming into this morning. And that's why it happened. Just too many people got in on the wrong side too soon. So anyway, with that said, I had a nice long side trade. I also had a nice short. And then it started kind of unwind, and it was perfect, and it started to base, and you can kind of see that it did hold the prior lows for the most part. And so, any time that it comes back towards VWAP, you have to be cautious anyway, because all of those momentum trades that we had in the past couple weeks were all traps below VWAP. So they'd kind of let shorts kind of feel comfortable, and then whoop, right through. This is, not your normal kind of breakout that you would normally see, right? So anyway, my trades, I had a nice trade on the way up, traded it nicely throughout here, got short. I was up pretty nicely again, and then it just went straight into, obviously, the halt. So I stopped out on that, which I was, pre-celebrating, not really, but kind of in my mind, pre-celebrating another nice win, and then I ended up having to, stop out on that trade. But the best thing that I did was stop out, because then it allowed me to kind of review the situation, and I actually got long on the dips. So, for the most part, I had about a 380 average all day, and my exits were perfect except the last one. So I waited all day to sell. I sold 474 and 480s. And then I also sold into this little pullback here. It was starting to get heavy into the close, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to hold this back down till like 350. And, filings, yeah, maybe there's risk there. They could raise if they do some type of midday halt offering type crap. And, not that I thought that it was going to happen, but I knew I was going to be mad at myself if I didn't just cut the last third that I had off. So I did that and gave it a couple minutes, and then all of a sudden here we are back to $5. So I was like, ugh. I was a little upset about that, but what can you do? Unless you have a really good average, which I did. So I guess I don't really have an excuse for that. But this action was really difficult. And it looks really, really good, and all of a sudden it looks like death. And so I did a voice. I had my mic on, and it was an hour and 40 minutes. I put it in the study group for those of you guys that are members. I'm going to talk to Cam tomorrow and see if we potentially put that on the YouTube channel. I got a ton of positive feedback, and more importantly, aha moments. It wasn't a video to say, told you so, called this, squeeze, this and that. Not at all. The idea was that I was kind of writing or talking about my thoughts as it happened, before it happened, what I'd be looking for when bids came up, if offers stayed thick, kind of the thought process that goes through my head when I'm trading this stuff, and you'll see that it was pretty interesting, as well as all the times that it quote unquote should have died, and that plays a big role in these squeezes. If it should have died one time, 2 times, 3 times, and it's still hanging on, that should start to kind of play into what the potential is here, and you can see they held key levels. They let it flush out. They let shorts battle it. And look, I mean, if we open at 5.50s tomorrow, anything's possible. But pre-market, I'm going to be a little nervous, to be completely honest. I'm going to probably wait until the open if I wanted to trade the long side. But let's see what happens. And that's that. So let's move on to the scan for tonight. That's a little bit of the recap, a little bit of what's kind of going on in the markets, thought processes, and things like that. So, we've got a lot coming up. You guys know how much I love travel. It's quite the opposite. I hate it. But I am doing it. I have done it a lot more this year. I really enjoy it. I really, really, really enjoy saying Lucci in the office. He brings a different vibe, the same kind of stuff that I've always tried to get across to people, the realness of trading, the psychological side, but just the way in which that he starts the conversation and gets others talking, me talking, and things like that. It's really awesome. So I've had a blast with him in the office, so anyway, he's doing another one in LA, but there's no way I'm going to go out to the West Coast that many times this year. So. But Miami is the 21st of August, so I'm going to be going out there. There's a bunch of IU guys going, so I'm excited to see some of them, as well as a bunch of friends that I've got out there. So that's the first thing coming up. Second thing, Traders for a Cause, we are filling up. And if you guys have any questions at all, please reach out, Zach@tradersforacause.org. If you can't make it, send somebody. The years that Eric Wood couldn't go, he sent people, which was awesome. And I think that was a really, really good thing that he did. And a lot of the guys that he sent are, still trading today. And it was a really big part of, their trading career. I'm not saying you come and you become a great trader. What I'm saying is you meet such great people that are going to become your kind of network, and when you meet these people in person, when you go through, like for example, when Brett does the psychology type talk, and he does like an exercise amongst everyone. I think it's going to bring a lot of traders closer, as well as the meet and greets. We do some beer park fun. As well as if anybody does golf and you take part in that. I mean, you meet a lot of great people, and at the end of the day, in the market, trading is lonely. No matter how you slice it, trading is lonely. And so you meet some of your best friends here that are gonna help with that cause, that loneliness, and really like bring you out of your shell. And I believe Passo's coming this year. He wasn't really sure of it the prior years, and he finally, he came out to Bahamas. We met, and he's excited for this year. So I hope that a lot of you guys are thinking about going. Again, if you have any questions, Zach@tradersforacause.org. And then last but not least, I'm going to be going to John and Pete and Jerrian's. They've got a conference the week before ours in Vegas. There's a lot of big TV names there going, so that'll be interesting and fun to meet a lot of those good guys. But John and Pete are awesome. They've been a part of Traders for a Cause the last few years. They're coming again this year, but I mean, they're just really, really good people. The conversation pretty much picks up where it left off. So you meet so many of these guys in this business where you meet them, you had a conversation with them, you think they might remember you, but no, they don't. But I'm telling you, with these guys, it's right where your conversation left off, and it's just continuation. And they actually care. They ask questions, show they care, and so it's a pleasure to be part of their conference. And I'm looking forward to it. So there's a link here. Go ahead and check that out. If you guys have any questions, obviously reach out. So, video to follow. That's where I take this out and I embed the video in about 20 minutes. So anyway, RKDA. Look, we don't know what's going to happen. So I don't want to spend too much time making a plan when anything could happen. We could wake up and there could be an offering. We could wake up and it could be 7. So what I want to do is just kind of be prepared. Where could this go? What are the key levels that are going to make a splash? So, the highest volume day ever, 50 million there. The next level was 35 million, and you're talking way up into the 7s and stuff. So, your next area of resistance is right there at the 5s, right where it's at. Well, now we've got room all the way up to probably this resistance, which is 570s, and then you've got up to 650. So you start kind of thinking about what key levels matter, and that's going to help you with the whole anticipation of potential range. And that's what a lot of people have trouble with. How high could this go? And so anyway, that's how I do it. That's what I look for. But just be cautious. This had 50 million. So if as long as everything's good in the morning and it opens up and it's just regular trading and it's still kind of trading relatively thin, then we got a potential here. But I'll definitely borrow shares and hope for higher. But we'll see. I'm gonna try to make a plan by 7, 8, 9 a.m. Let's see what happens. And I just don't want to come in with a super game plan at the moment. So INWK, nice bounce off of nothing. I mean, it just completely looked like trash and then gaps up and nice move. A newsletter, a particular newsletter with decent flow came in on it. That was this spike, so it gave it a second life. With that said, a lot of times if it kind of runs or gaps up the next day, they kind of pat themselves on the back and say, hey, you might want to take profits, or maybe it's time to sell. So with that said, you're gonna have maybe 400,000 worth of sellers coming to the tape, maybe more, maybe 500,000 of sellers coming to the tape if and when that sell recommendation hits. Not necessarily a recommendation, but a suggestion. AMD. Been a wild one. A great short, really terrible cover. I got short about a dime off the highs on Friday. Didn't touch it the rest of the time. I wish I'd been paying more attention to this thing. I mean, obviously it's been a crazy runner. But nice failed follow through. I think we're going to have a lot of resistance in this area. It's one thing to break through it, like we talk about all the time, but you should assume that it's going to come back and fail. And that's exactly what happened. So, keep in mind that, we've got a lot of resistance here. This day over here, the top was 34.30s, and it closed a lot lower. This day was 34.80s. This day, 34.70s. So you've got a lot in the 34.50 to 80 range. And so obviously this one closed at 34.19. So you're below that range. So basically I'd be looking for 34.50s and higher, and then look for pressure to come in. But nothing that I want to step in front, because as you can see, it always lasts longer. And the thing is you pre-exhaust yourself trying to find the top. And then when the trade comes, you're so exhausted, you're happy to finally break even, that you miss the entire trade. I've done that so many times, and you have to verbalize it. you have to be verbal about it, say it, and then it's going to help you stay away from trying to find that front side. So let's see here. Overstock is another one that has just been... Oh, did I skip one? CTST, I skipped. CTST was a little wild. This one was just a steady... You could tell somebody was bent up. Mentioned that 230s, 240s, and I was thinking that it was going to go to 320 into the close. Ended up surpassing that up to 360s, right on the market on close orders, MOC. I think that either somebody was getting bought in, somebody just had a huge order to buy, whatever the case may be. I mean, it just was, everything was thrown at it into the close, and then that was it. The bids walked, and back to 270s. So with that said, I think a lot of people will be super excited about it. Oh, it's gonna bounce. It's a big, big bounce, and finally we've hit bottom and all that kind of stuff. But I think that all of that was margin forced out type exit. So I'm hoping that people will get excited about it, gets back to 280, 290s, and then look for the fade back. Maybe back towards 250s, something like that. I don't think we're going to rip too much higher. It's always possible, but I'm thinking that any good gap up with a push that fails will be a good fade back. Overstock, unfortunately, I just can't get long this stock. I mean, there's been some phenomenal shorts on it. But the key is you have to obviously take the covers. And so even, this little action in the room down to VWAP, it was a great short, but you keep a little bit on and you end up getting stopped out on the rest. So I just don't trust anything around this. There's just so many pumps that are going on around this thing. I mean, they obviously are good at with their PR machine and kind of just kind of painting the story. But I think they just wanted to hold it up into the earnings report. We'll see what happens. Obviously, it's no stranger. It's had a huge run before. They've done this before. It had that major move. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all unfolds. But for right now, I mean, a stock that has $2-3 of daily range, I mean, you can't ask for anything better. So the key is really just to kind of join the trend and not fight it. And once again, this is sort of the pulling back towards VWAP and it's consolidating, nice ABCD type breakout. But it's just whether or not it vibes with your personality. And for right now, I just can't get long this thing. TXMD, higher the better. So at this point, I'd be looking for a push back on Friday highs for the fade. We got a lot of chart resistance, right into this level over here. Doesn't mean that it can't go higher. It definitely can. But, look at this high volume day. You're probably going to have a lot of resistance, anything over 3. So I see any good push, any good gap up that fails as a potential. And then, possible gap fill back towards 260, 270s. But the key is, do not exhaust yourself on the front side of the move. You just saw this on ACHN, where it can continue to go. So the key is really not to step in front of it if it's got a good trend. You want to be shorting pops with a downtrend with a set risk. Know where you're going to stop. PBYI, I call this like a transitional day. They're transitioning all of the buyers into sellers, the shorts in, the gap sellers out, the new buyers in, and when you think the move's going to happen, it actually didn't happen that day, and it's going to move the next day. So a lot of times you see this, and then it's right back up towards 12s, 13s, and you get frustrated because you're along for the breakout, and you either overstayed, you bailed, whatever, and then you ended up missing it. So I tend to keep these on watch just in case. If it starts to base tomorrow and start to break out, I'd be using 11 as the risk, basically. And any size, I'd want to see it over this level over here, 1140s. So if it starts to base 1120s, I'd consider some versus 11. And then the only time I would probably add is 1140, 1150s versus VWAP. LK has been a fantastic trader. Again, another example of sub VWAP, consolidate, and then head higher. But it's just a stock of interest, a name of interest. It's either going to be a nice little gap up and unwinder or another week open and continue to go. They've got earnings. I think it's actually pre-market the 14th. So that is Wednesday. So it might tighten the range a little bit. We might have a trade Tuesday into close. But don't be alarmed if it starts to unwind one way and then come back. A lot of times the tape is a little bit weird heading into big earnings like this. But as you saw, Cohen took a position, so it bounced back a little bit, and just getting interesting. So we're gonna have a big trade on Thursday, I'm sure, because the range here will probably be 20 or 22 or 28 to 30, 32, something crazy. So we'll see what happens with that. GDOT, again, just a reminder before I get into GDOT, my ideas, my goals are to review charts that are of interest. Tomorrow morning, there's probably going to be 2 or 3 other names that are going to be my main watches. And then I'm going to be zoned in and focused on which ones on my scan are working. But there's nothing better than researching, reviewing, and going over charts that are trading millions and millions and millions of shares, charts that are providing good potential for trades, because you never know. Maybe we wake up and there's nothing tomorrow. You're going to be prepared. And there's no better thing than continually reviewing charts so that anytime you see them on radar, you already know exactly what they look like, where they are, what they've done, etc. So GDOT, this one, you can see it had the second day of kind of breakout. This is a dead cat bounce. But I'm thinking that we're going to start to lose our range. So there's possibility here. So you can see it peaked out this day, and then it popped through, but then it started to peak back out at that same level if you draw a line across. So I'm starting to think that there's a little bit of resistance in that high 29 to 30 level. So anything above it, I'd be looking to fade versus this, 30, basically 30 50s. And then anything below it, I'd be looking to risk versus VWAPs and join that trend. AMAG, higher the better. Don't step in front of it, but I mean, we're going to get a trade here. And so the thing is one weakness that I have is, there's going to be a great opportunity. Maybe it's Monday, right? And I'm going to absolutely nail it. It's going to flush out 30 cents, 40 cents. And then I'm going to start thinking, oh boy, what if it goes down, $1? And that's going to be the wrong thought process. The key is to nail this thing and bail. And if it stays heavy, fine, re-add. But assume that it's going to consolidate. Assume that if you get a good portion of that daily range, if the average daily range is, lately is 70 cents or $80, whatever. If you get 50 cents, 40, 50, 60 cents in a matter of minutes on a pullback and stuff, understand that what that is, and understand that that's 60% of the daily range in 4 minutes. And so just be aware of that, because it's very easy to get in a situation where you're up a lot, it comes back, and then it starts to squeeze you. And we've all been there, and I could see this thing being one of those types. But we're coming into some decent resistance here, so I think that any blast through will be met with pressure, just like we saw on AMD, where any blast through is going to be met with pressure. PRTK, this is another trend that I've been noticing lately, is PRTK, OMI, and LTHM. Those first day candles are now starting to have second day and third days. So go with the trend until they break, until they don't work. So PRTK, OMI, LTHM, all weak opens, potential for more until they have failed follow through momentum. You can already see like this one has lower highs, but again, 9:45, 10 a.m. plus, probably the best kind of thing to wait for. AVDR. Thinking that we're going to have either a break out to 23, 24, 20, 25 soon, or it's going to come in to basically sub 2150s there, where this prior resistance was. So kind of an indecision candle on Friday, but we've seen these go either way. Again, like I've said on prior scans like ZM and all those other ones, I'm not sure exactly what way it's going to go, but I know we've got multiple $2 candles near, in my opinion. CLVS, week open and rally potential. Another big unwind and comeback, but this just had a huge unwind. So let it do its thing, just like cars and just like everything else lately. Let it do its thing, just like TWOU. Let it do its thing, and then join the trend. There's plenty of time, but stay familiar with this. You're going to have that 1 or 2 day type bounce, but you don't want to get in a situation where you're trying to find that bounce yourself, because then you get ran over. FTCH, same thing. I mean, we've got volume, we've got action, we've got fantastic trend. We had a nice trend join over here, came back. But we're going to have a 50 cents to $1 type of opportunity tomorrow. But it's just about waiting for it to set up. TWOU, I really want to short this. I know that's contrary to the trend right now, but I'm thinking that right now it's just a little bit of short cover. And as soon as that short cover fails to continue, we're going to be right back into the sell mode. For now, higher the better. 16, 17, that would be fantastic. But I think that it's definitely going to be met with some pressure soon, and I'd just like to be there for it. BAT, I'm just staying familiar. Nothing I'm excited about. It's just, a recent IPO. If it gets 1 million, 2 million volume one of these days, it might be a nice runner. CDNA and CARG, we've been talking about these for quite some time now. Nice fails, nice unwinds. These are both some Carousel Capital short ideas some time ago. And CARG has been for a while. But this other one, this CDNA, was an idea right over here. And then it came all the way back, and it just completely unwind. Only problem is I was watching it this day, after we had seen it this day, and I missed this on Friday, unfortunately. So, see what happens. Definitely a seller there, but right now it's unwind mode. Things are going nuts. So, last two, SIEN, nice breakout. If we can get and hold over 650s, we've got a pretty decent potential here. Good volume, could be a new trend change, and then same thing with cars. I'm staying familiar, just like TWOU. Don't try to find the bottom. Don't think, oh, it's 9, it's 850, it's 8, it's 7. There's going to be a good trade. Wait for it to basically flush out, come back over VWAP, pull back, hold VWAP, and go. Then you have a good spot to risk off of. So that's my game plan. Again, I know that there is a lot of stocks on watch, but the goal is to kind of get an idea of what I'm looking to trade, how I'm looking to trade it, and kind of just continually reaffirm the thought process that goes behind entering and whatnot. And so that's that. So tomorrow morning we'll do, as usual, 9 a.m., grab the microphone, screen share, show my top 3 or 4 or 5 names. Typically I try to do 2 or 3. And then any other secondary type watches and any other general comments related to what I see in the morning. So again, I hope to see some of you guys in Miami next, I guess it's 2 weeks. And again, Traders for a Cause. Please, if you have questions, reach out. You do not need to be a golfer. Golf is an add-on. A lot of people do golf, but it's only about a third or a fourth of the people that go. And then last but not least, like I said, John and Pete Nigerian's conference is the week before. And so I'll be going out for that as well. And, they always put on a great event. So that's about it, guys. Hope to see you guys in the room tomorrow. If you have any questions, reach out. Use the comment section. If you have any other questions, you can either email me or Cam at investorsunderground.com.